All right, good morning. Welcome to r62tv.com. I'm Chef Jeff. Well, you feel the need to wake and bake, and today you're in luck because we're working on some gourmet brunch, and I'm going to get started right away here with a real hollandaise to match up to a beautiful Eggs Benedict. We're just going to load a bunch of ingredients into a pot here. We're working on the hollandaise reduction. It's kind of the most important part, I think, about the hollandaise, and it sure beats the heck out of those powder mixes. So let's get started. I've got a little bit of sherry vinegar. This is white wine vinegar. And white wine. Sounds like a lot of acid, but trust me, the amount of egg yolks and butter that end up in a hollandaise, you're really going to need this to cut through that flavor. Capers, good tablespoon. These are whole black peppercorns. Obviously there's not a lot in there because you don't need a lot. They have a lot of punch, a lot of flavor. So 4, 5, 6, whatever you got. Fresh thyme, a couple of bay leaves. They can be dried or fresh, whatever you happen to have handy. A couple cloves of fresh garlic, 1 or 2, not too much. Don't go crazy. I mean, garlic's great in a lot of places, but not so much here. Sliced shallot, slide that in. Tarragon or basil, whatever you happen to have handy. We already have some black pepper in there, so add a little bit of salt here, a couple pinches. And lastly, this is honey. I'm going to add about 2, maybe 2.5, 3 teaspoons of honey. Just get that in, just to kind of balance it out. With all that acid and the saltiness of the capers, etc., we need to kind of balance that sweetness out. That is it. This is going to go back under the heat here, and we're going to let it reduce by about half. Then we'll strain it, and we'll save it, and we'll show you what we're going to do next. Hold on. Let's go check out this reduction. I'm sure we're ready to go. Absolutely. We know we're ready to go because it's reduced by half. So I'm going to strain it. We don't really need to keep any of the solids left behind, but we definitely want to reserve all that liquid. We want to make sure we get it all out, give it a good shake. This is the flavor base for our hollandaise. We may not need all of this, so feel free to keep it in the fridge. It'll last a good few weeks with all that vinegar in there. It won't go anywhere. So in the meantime, we're going to let this cool. Let's send it over to Alicia for the windup.
Thanks, Jeff. So we're going to eat some Eggs Benedict. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop some sparkling wine and make some mimosas. This here is a Segura Vedas. It's a nice dry sparkling wine from Spain. Yeah, a little less pricey. And so there's a few things when you're making mimosas. I like to pour the orange juice in first. And I'm going to give you a little demonstration here what happens. So if you do a real quick pour here with the sparkling wine, what's going to happen? We're going to get a little explosion here. That's what not to do when you're making a mimosa. So what you're going to want to do, just add a tiny bit of orange juice. I don't like very much. You know, it's just to give it a little color, make you feel better about drinking in the morning. So, and then a nice slow pour into that is really important. Otherwise, it just marks up the glass quite a bit. So get a nice slow pour into there. The orange juice is really just to give it a bit of color, give you some nutrients. Go with that Eggs Benedict. So there we have it. We have our perfect brunch drink to go with the perfect brunch that Jeff's been making. So we won't be needing this one.
Thanks, Alicia. Those drinks look great. Let's finish our hollandaise. A little bit of work to do still. We've let our reduction cool, and we've got about 4 egg yolks in the bowl here. Good sized bowl, a little bit of room to work. I want to put roughly the same amount of reduction to egg yolks in there. So if you got about 3.5, 4 ounces of egg yolk, then give me about 3.5, 4 ounces of that reduction. Ideally, you want to put a little bit of effort in right now. This is going to give us a real stable base for this foam. So when it goes back onto that bain-marie, it's going to cook nice and evenly, get thick and glossy, and be a lot more stable. Anytime you're working with a warm buttery emulsion sauce, which is what a hollandaise is, there's a chance it will split. But if you do a bit of homework right now, it'll really reduce your chances of having any accidents later. So you can see nice light foam ribbons right off that whisk quite nicely. We're just going to lower this heat a little bit. We want to go over bain-marie. You don't want to do this over a direct heat source like the stove top or anything, because a real risk of cooking those egg yolks. So we're going to carry on whisking, and you'll know it's ready to go when it's thick, foamy, and glossy. Looks a lot like a meringue. Vent that pressure. That's important. You don't want to leave it just sitting there because it'll get too hot very quickly and it'll start to cook on the bottom. See how thick and foamy? It's beautiful. Okay, that's all we're going to do right there. A little bit of a final whisk. Now we can start incorporating our butter. Little trick, if you've only got one set of hands, a little bit of a wet towel underneath, and that's going to help add a little bit of stability to the base of the bowl. And very slowly, we're going to drizzle this butter in. We don't want to dump it in and start whisking it because we have to emulsify this butter into our egg yolks and our reduction. So we'll keep it moving a little bit. We'll just start right in the center. Start drizzling it in nice and slow. What I've got here is 1/2 pound of butter clarified. So basic recipe, 4 yolks, 1/2 pound of butter, and you're going to get enough for at least 6 or 8 people to have a real nice serving of hollandaise on top of their Eggs Benedict. If it starts to get quite thick like this, like almost a little too thick, go ahead and add a little bit of warm water. just right in there. It's going to loosen it right up. No real risk. It's not going to split or anything. But again, it's just going to kind of control that consistency because we need to get that whole half a pound of butter in there. I wouldn't use an electric mixer or anything like that because that machine is working so fast, you really run a risk of overworking these eggs and causing that foam to collapse. And besides, if you've noticed how many calories are going in here, it takes a little effort to make it worth it. So, last of the butter's all in there. Give it a final shake. We'll adjust that consistency just a touch more with a little bit of warm water. Not too much, a little goes a long way. What I like to add right here at the end is a nice little pinch of salt. A little bit of fresh cracked black pepper, just a little bit right in there. I've got some nice chopped chives. I'm also going to add a little bit of Worcestershire sauce and a couple dashes of Tabasco just to add a little spicy kick to it, round out all those flavors. One more final whisk, and that's it. That's a beautiful hollandaise sauce. Well, it wouldn't be Eggs Benedict without poached eggs, so let's get started on some of those. I've got a couple of tips for you to help it be a little easier for you at home. Use a large pot. You want a lot of water here. You're going to need some volume to get these eggs into. Also, I've added about a quarter cup of just plain white vinegar. What that's going to do, the acid is going to kind of cause those egg whites to retract and stay together and give you a nice round egg. And the other tip is to give the pot a good swirl before you go in with your eggs. Get the water moving in a nice circular motion, and kind of as quickly as you can, pop them in. I've pre-cracked the eggs. I generally like to poach all my eggs from pre-cracked. That way I don't worry about any shells or anything. Just slide them in. And while that water is moving, you're going to get a nice kind of even poach all around that surface of the egg, causing it to be nice and round. And keep it moving a little bit. Good poached egg, poached medium, about 3.5 to 4 minutes at a simmer. If you're rolling and boiling, you're really going to kind of run a risk of breaking those eggs. So you just kind of want it to just barely bubble, break the surface. It doesn't have to be that hot to poach an egg. These are all set. We know they're ready. We pull them out. They've got a nice gentle jiggle, but there's no clarity to those egg whites at all, right? We want to make sure that they're cooked all the way through, but we definitely want to have a little bit of a runny yolk. So what I've got here, a little cloth-lined plate to pop these out on. Ideally, because they all went in at the same time, you want to be able to pull them out at the same time. So I really recommend kind of transferring them into something like this and then over to the dish. That way you're also not going to get any hot kind of acidulated water on your final plate. I've also got a couple of nice toasted English muffins all set to go. We'll finish this beautiful dish off. This is a brunch classic. This is something you're going to do on a nice Sunday. Slide those right in. Pop them on. They're pretty hot, but if you need to, you can just use a cloth to just kind of help you guide them over to the plates. There we go. Now we've got our still warm, fresh hollandaise all set here. You can put as little or as much as you want on top of these. Perfect. Yeah, that's really nice. That's a beautiful Eggs Benedict. Okay, there you have it. That's a beautiful brunch and buffet ready for any given Sunday. Centerpiece by the Eggs Benedict with real hollandaise. A couple of nice sides to go with this: roasted bacon, potato, and caramelized onion hash. I've also got a really nice farmer sausage croissant take and bake kind of dish. It's great to go on traveling. And for the sweet tooth in you, mascarpone cheese, fresh berries, all wrapped in a nice vanilla sweet crepe.
Wow, this looks amazing, Jeff. You've totally outdone yourself. But let's not forget our drinks to accompany this great brunch. We've got our fresh fruit mimosa, fresh squeezed orange juice with sparkling wine. We've got a white wine sangria.
Oh, that's different.
Yeah, a little bit different. The red wine's a bit heavy at breakfast. And then the real classic Bellini with some fresh peach and sparkling wine, a little bit of grenadine to color it. So.
Beautiful. You know, don't forget to check out our website, r62tv.com. All the recipes, all the methods are going to be there, as well as all the videos, so you'll be able to make them at home anytime you want.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Eat well, drink better.